what I have here are, these pieces were originally 45 inches long. I just cut them out in my own pattern, but I used the first one I cut as a template for all my other pieces. The reason I went 45 was so that when I make my cut, I will end up with a total 37 inches on completion. So those lines that I have are going to be my 37 inch, but they have to offset. As you can see, the wave is going to move, and that's why I have the length that I have. So you can do this however you want. Just when you do the wave, the way I made it easy for myself was in order to get two pieces out of one 2x4, I made the curvatures spaced out. So 45 inches, I spaced them out 9 inches each. So that way, when I made the single cut, I was able to have a piece that I could flip and use from the same piece. And that way it just saved me on wood waste. What I'm gonna do here is put a mark where my screws are gonna go. And so I'm going to screw each piece to the next piece in line. And so the reason I'm doing it this way is so that I can screw the whole thing together, sand it all down, and then unscrew each piece and then stain them individually and burn them how I see fit without having to worry about the stain bleeding onto the next piece. I'm only doing it this way because I don't want to tape off each stripe, and then when I do my union piece, I don't want to have to worry about anything bleeding on to my other pieces. So I'm going to sand the whole thing down as one, so they're all screwed together, and I'm pretty close, but it's going to take a lot of sanding. Recommend doing a 60 grit on the initial, and then follow up with a 80 or 120. But I would recommend possibly getting a grinder in order to get these closer. These are pretty close, but either way, it's going to take a lot of sanding. This is the standard 10.5 by 14 3/4. I can pick these up pretty much anywhere. I got this one on Amazon. But all we're doing here is just going to trace the size of our stencil. So all I did was place it in the corner and then just drew a line right down the edge. And you'll notice that there's a little bit of burning right here. I did that. That's something that's obviously your preference. Either way, the flag's gonna still hold that beauty, but with or without the burns, but that's up to you. I'm just putting razor blades on those lines I placed earlier, and then I'm just hitting them down with a hammer. I got my razor blades in place. I numbered each piece 1 through 13. Odds are going to be red, evens are going to be white. Makes it a little easier so I'm not accidentally staining the wrong one. And now we have all the pieces together, we're going to go ahead and paint the stars. This is just a white satin paint, nothing special. We're going to use a sponge, or you can use a paintbrush too, but just make sure that you dab your paint on. Try not to move across the stars so you don't have bleeding underneath. You'll still get a little bleeding, but you definitely have a lot less if you just dab the color on. To do the trim, you want to make sure you have enough overhang to wait for your miter. And then what you're going to do is just trace the contour of your flag along the edge. And then once you have your mark, you go ahead and make your cut. And then when you cut, just make sure you cut above the line so you can sand down to that line. You don't want to undercut and be below the flag itself. The other option you have is you can stain the edges. When you have them apart, just sand them down and then stain them. And when you put it back together, you'll be good to go. Any wood stain will work. I'm using red mahogany, but it's your choice. Double check your corners, make sure all of your miters meet up and everything is flush. If you have any discrepancies, make sure that you make your cuts before you do your nailing. Alright, so now this is setting. I'm going to go ahead and do my final touches here, finish up the edges. As you can see, some of them kind of have a little bit of imperfections in the miters. Also, if you're using finish nails, make sure that you countersink. And I used to use a blend fill. Minwax makes them. You can match the stain that you have and just a wax filler before you go ahead and put your final sealer coat on it. You're going to want to clean up any bleeding that might have happened on your stars. Scrub a razor and scrape your way up to the star. And we're applying the clear coat, the polyurethane. So remember, this is a water base, so as you put it on, it's going to be white, but as it dries, it will have that nice clear sheen. But you can see kind of the white, but that'll go away. It'll be a nice shine when it's all done. So here's the finished product. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed building it.